What is going on, guys? I'm Retro Bliss. You're on the Retro Bliss Rewind podcast. Welcome. If you're watching from over at Mike's Gaming Gala, we welcome you there as well. We are simulcasting as we normally do. I want to get this out of the way right now. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. Mike is in charge of the chat, and he will start your questions, and we'll make sure that your questions get answered. But tonight we have Glen from Thunderstick Studios. Now, I have a few of his products, and he has quite a few, and we're not going to have time to talk about all of them. But we're gonna do that as best we can. Get to know Glen, kind of find out what's going on at Thunderstick Studios now, and what may be happening in the future. So, without further delay, let's bring in Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala.
Hello.
We have a couple extra special guests too today. Also, we have Off Grid Arcade. This is Bart.
Hey,
what's going on? And then Mr. Postile. You guys know Poe, but our special guest is
Superman, and we're gonna put him in the honored slot right there.
That's right where he belongs. Hey, Glen, how are you,
I'll throw everything out there.
We are glad to have you. I've been wanting to have you on the show, and I reached out to you, I think maybe about a year ago, and then I didn't follow up with you because of different things going on. But anyway, I reached out to you a couple weeks ago, and you said, yeah, let's do it. And I was just thrilled to have you on. So I'm going to start it off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you start, what Thunderstick Studio is, which is, by the way, thunderstickstudio singular.com, if you guys want to check out some of his stuff. But tell us about your company and how you got started, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, as far as the company goes, we started in 2018, not too far after Arcade 1-Up launched, their initial machines. Because if anyone was there back in the day with their Asteroids and Centipede, the spinner was absolutely abysmal, and the trackball. So I had a YouTube channel about 14 years on YouTube now, I think. And usually I did stuff like, Raspberry Pi builds and converting little Raspberry Pi, tiny arcades into them, and doing restore videos and video game stuff, yada, yada, like everyone else out there. Like that's 100 million other people on YouTube are doing. But the other thing I did a lot was Facebook groups. And I started a lot of Facebook groups. And one was for Arcade 1-Up. I started the original one. And Thunderstick Studios, which is part of a larger company, had saw my channel, and they kind of knew what I was doing. And they actually reached out to me initially with saying, listen, we have been working on a spinner for the Arcade 1-Up. You want to take a look at it and give us some feedback. So I said, sure. They sent it out, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it really didn't need really tweaking at all. The first model that came out, and then of course we did a small launch, and it sold out within 10 seconds of it going live, and we kind of built it up from there. We started selling on Amazon, and that was my call because when you're dealing with buying stuff from out of state, from companies you never heard of, or some YouTube you don't know anything about, to me, I work hard for my money. I know you guys work hard for your money, and everyone else does as well. I want it to be safe. So I figured if we launched our stuff on Amazon, you got the guarantee with Amazon, stuff safe purchasing, and we were the #1 gaming accessory 2 times in a row with the spinner and the trackball, which was phenomenal. And then, of course, we branched out from there. So that's kind of the Thunderstick Studio side. And now we've launched the FU, and I'm keeping a PG, but FU is the name, so it's okay to say FU with that. And we have a lot more plans of things still coming out. But I'm not going to lie, the stuff now going on with RAM chips and tariffs have not made it easy. This May I'll be turning 27, but you can see how it's aged me in all these different product lines here.
That's a rough 27, Glen.
It is, man. I look pretty bad. I know my father, he's passed on. He was a truck driver, but I'll never forget a story. He was a truck driver, right? And he was at a truck stop. The guy goes, "Damn, you look really." My father was like a tank. I mean, he was built. Guy goes, damn, you look really good for your age, man. My father was like, well, thanks. He goes, damn, how old are you? He goes, 48. He goes, oh, shit. I thought you were like 70. I go, oh, no. And then my father was like, so I got my dad's genes, you know. This is how I look. 27 is how I look.
Can I take a really, really quick break here? Thank you very much, Jim Pacers fan, for the YouTube membership on the Retro Bliss Gaming channel. And then people are being silly in the chat, but we appreciate it. Thank you very much, IR Geek. Thank you very much, Television Gamer. I have to update, and IR Geek also became a member himself. I have to update my end plate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's the other good thing. People watch our shows is that we have a good community out there. People come and watch the channel. Good people talking in there, and that for me is like the biggest thing ever. It's just the community of people talking. That's why I like the engagement, really.
Well, I got introduced to you from Mr. Postile, who's at the bottom right there. He had an iArcade, and he was showing it on his channel, and I'm like, I want one of those, and he said they don't make them anymore. And long story short, I found like one mint for like $300, and that was, from what I could see, a good price, and it was local to me. So a lot of them that I was finding were like in Detroit and Wisconsin and stuff. I'm like, and I'm in Cincinnati, so it's like, oh man, right here. So
well, dude, the next time I come out to Cincinnati, we got to meet up, because I do go out to that area once in a while. So next time I'm in the area,
please do. Yeah, hit me up. I'll give you my number after the show, and you have my email address already. But yeah, we'd love to.
He'll have you working on his iArcade the whole time you're there.
Yeah, you're fixing problems.
That's okay. I love tinkering. That's the biggest thing I've done. Like, I love finding machines that don't work and try to get them working. Half the time it's frustration, but when they do come to life, man, it's a great feeling.
Well, what I saw Poe do, and I'm like, he put on your control deck on his iArcade, which made it even better, because the stock, I'm going to show if I can. Hold on a minute. The stock, let me see if I can. I got to stop a screen before I can start another one. Dang it.
No, you can just switch to a new tab. Right at the top there. Like, go to your new tab, and right at the top it'll say switch to or share this tab.
Okay. Hold on a minute. I might be able to do it this way. Let's do it this way. Sorry.
This is Phil's first day YouTubing.
It is. It is. Sorry. No.
This is my time too to mention that he'll watch Mr. Postile, and he'll see one of your items that Poe's showing off, and I added this to my arcade, and then Phil will dig into his retirement income, which somehow exceeds my income, and I'm not retired.
Well, my retirement's already planned. It's this day. That's the day I can retire.
Yeah. Anyway, this was the way it was when I first got it, and that's the original control deck up top there. We'll look at your other one in a minute, but it was in mint condition. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome, and that's what got me started. I was like, yeah, man, where did you get that? And he said, man, Glen's not making them right now. He's not even taking even pre-orders, but he has a history of every now and then offering pre-orders, and he doesn't always do it, but keep your eye out. And sure enough, it wasn't too long after Poe suggested that I do that you put that and the Viper board up for pre-order, and I jumped on that like a bee on a honey dipped hamburger.
Yeah.
So tell us about the control deck for that machine that you make.
Sure. So I really like the iArcade, and I thought that it was a phenomenal system. I have two right now. I got the original, and I have the very first of the second generation. I have the serial number 001, so I'll never get rid of that one. Wow. And I was friends with John, and we've been talking a long time. And I told him, I said, as cool as it is, a lot of the games on there, my thing is you want to have the right type of controllers for the type of games that you're playing. So he was going to like open up the ecosystem. That was like the next phase for iArcade, was to open up the ecosystem. You could get all these games and you could download different genre games, but you only had a joystick and buttons, and that wasn't really the right way. So we got light guns working on there. We got the track balls, the spinners, and the Star Wars yoke, and all these other controllers. And then, unfortunately, they had an issue at iArcade, and unfortunately, they had to cease production, and it collapsed. Now, I had made a promise to the community. I'm like, I understand that, unfortunately, iArcade is no more, but there's people who bought them already. And I didn't want to see people just gutting the machine, turning into just a generic cabinet. It was an important part of history, I thought. It was a really good console, really good machine. I don't want people destroying it. But I also know people want to have more games on it than they had. They may have only gotten one game or didn't even assemble it yet, right? And some people, if you waited too long and the server shut down, you might have been screwed. I mean, there was the, oh my God, that board, I can't think of the name.
Mystery
Arcade.
encoder.
Mystery encoder, thank you very much. You can get it on that way with, at least on the legacy machine, but the new machine was a lot more difficult. So my original promise was we had made the deck, which was the Ultimate Control Panel, which now is filtering into other products, which is 2 joysticks with my gate switchers. And if people don't know what that is, when you're playing, say, Pac-Man, you want a 4-way joystick. You're playing Defender or Robotron, you want an 8-way joystick. So you can press a button on the control deck that'll turn a servo that'll change the gate so you can have a 4-way or 8-way joystick.
It is sweet too, man. I tell you what, it
Best
makes
thing
a big,
ever.
Yeah, one of the greatest features of that whole thing is
yeah.
It works.
Pac-Man,
It
Mappy,
works
all those
really well.
games.
It works
Yeah.
really well. And I never forget Papa Brad from Papa Brad's Gaming. He was like, he dremeled the machine like crazy to get it in there. I'm like, dude, we have a low profile one. And like, I felt so bad he did that. But in any case, he got it working. And then, of course, we added spinners and a light up trackball and some other things. But as soon as we were ready to release that, like I said, iArcade had gone belly up. So we, on the live stream that John was going to make that announcement that they were shut down, I didn't even tell my team. I said, look, what if we come out with a way so we can keep your iArcade as it is, but also have a button you can press, you can get into another ecosystem and play games that way. So I had basically made this promise before I even talked to my team. But when I talked to my team, I said, listen, this machine has people spent the money $500-600 on these machines. They don't deserve to have a machine just go out in the night and people have nothing to show for the machine other than what they had on it. That's not how I wanted it to be, and I knew we had promised certain things. So I said, let's do it. So it took, I want to say it took a good 8 months, but that's where the Viper board and the Viper KVM switch came into play, and that allows you to turn on your machine and play iArcade just as it was like you bought it from iArcade. But with the press of one little button on the control deck, switch you over to my ecosystem, which is a Viper. And at Viper, you can, you have NetPlay. You can play people online. You can download hundreds of different systems, from Atari to arcade. And I know my buddy, a few of my friends can't stand having a jukebox on. I like it. There's jukebox on, there's Kodi on. They can do all these type of things. But that's what drives me is I don't like seeing people left out in the cold. I don't like seeing products just go out in the night. If we can keep those things going longer, have your kids and their kids have this machine, passing it down, they can still play it. That to me is important, and especially your money. It's your hard-earned money. Don't let it just be lost. It deserves to be respected.
There are actually a lot of products out there that after they become discontinued, they're actually supported better than they were when they were around. Like the Ouya comes to mind. Great community builds that people are still using their Ouyas as emulation machines or for other stuff. Whereas when it was when it was supported, there was nothing on there. So
and other things like the Virtual Boy. I know the Virtual Boy it lasted less than a year in the marketplace. I love the Virtual Boy. And there's people making aftermarket products and ways to prepare your screens and add VGA out. So those are things I really do enjoy. I like, adding SD card to the Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast. I want to play like everything under the sun in that machine. But optical drives fail. So we have to have ways to play them outside of that.
Yeah. What cracked me up with the whole iArcade thing was when they folded, people started laughing at those of us that bought one. And they're like, oh, you suckers. And then the mystery encoder chip came out and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I need to get, and then you make your deck, and then the Viper came out, and everyone's suddenly jealous of those of us that bought an iArcade in the beginning.
The prices went way up too, man.
The best possible time, because Oscar had already had his for a while, and I kept saying, I want to get one, and then they had the big sale, but I didn't know that was going to be this is it type of sale on the thing. So I bought mine, and then we heard the announcement. I'm like, I got to buy as many games as I can. I think I'm screwed here. But then there was light at the end of the tunnel, and Bart and I talking about it on our channel. I had other people asking about it then after that, and it's kind of like, I might be a little too late for you. Sorry, but it is a great thing.
Well, and that we just said right there was a big thing. You said you pulled the trigger, and then the announcement was made. I would have felt horrible if you had spent that kind of money, and the server shut down, and you got 2 games, and that was the whole point of doing what I did, because you shouldn't have to be, oh, I'm excited to buy this. Here's my money, and then have nothing to show for it.
Right.
We got a comment here. This is Rob from the UK. He says, I love my Star Wars arcade 1-up cabinet, which he's upgraded. He's upgraded it to a sitting cabinet, and he's seen the upgraded yoke, but hasn't pulled the trigger yet. This is the guy that makes the upgraded yoke. I don't know, Phil, if you want to bring it up on there it is.
And there's another one out there. There's also one from Alan 1. The difference is the Alan 1 was really an arcade recreate, like a 1-to-1 recreated, except instead of nylon gears, they used actual aluminum gears. But it was only designed for the arcade, so you had to spend the money for that. Then you had to spend money for USB encoder, so it got to be very expensive. Mine is, it looks the part, but it is improved in my opinion. We use Hall effect sensors. There's no gears in this thing. It's just magnets and reading that magnetic field. We have additional buttons on the back for coin and select, and it's fully compatible out of the box for that one price for the arcade 1-up machine, the original Star Wars arcade machine. It plops in there as well, and of course USB to plug into everything else. And in fact, this is a year late. We're still coming out with it relatively quickly, which is this little guy right here, which is the flight yoke enhancer kit.
Oh, here.
So
Phil, there you go.
Yep, this will clip on to your yoke, which will give you an analog joystick and 4 buttons, and a throttle and 4 buttons. So this just clip right on to that yoke to give you more functionality. So you want to play Spy Hunter or games like that, extra buttons like that, you'll have that ability on the Heroes yoke.
When you first showed that, Glenn, that's when I ordered my Star Wars yoke. I'm like, and then I got that yoke. Wow, that thing is a tank. I wasn't expecting it to be like that. I picked it up. Wow, this thing is high quality, heavy duty here. So.
I have a question. About that, because I'd love to get one, but I know that the pictures I've seen, there's like a mount that's on the back of it.
Yeah.
There are games that would play great on my iArcade with that, but I wouldn't want it all the time. So what would be the solution for?
There's 2 solutions, and I have to take a measurement. We actually make a mount. You connect the GRS flight yoke to it, and it just clips onto your table. In fact, I have it. It's not sure it's on the camera shot. It's right here. So there's the mount. It will go.
Oh,
store.
I just kicked him off. I just kicked you off. Show that. Hold on.
Let me take care of it, Phil.
Yeah, show that again. I wanted to get him a close-up of him.
Here we go. This is why I usually control the screens. Here you go.
Yeah.
Show us again.
Let's get my little length over here as well. So here's the yoke, and this is the mount right here. It's got little screws and pads on the bottom, and you can adjust the angle. These are small. It's a very small, compact one. But the Buy Stuff store makes a really nice one as well, and it's got a nice control deck on it. It's got a decal on it. So you have 2 options. You have the one that we sell, and what's cool about mine is in the back there's a little spot you can spool up the cable and stick it in there. But the Buy Stuff store's got a really nice one. It's made out of wood. Mine's made out of steel, so it just depends which way you want to go. So there's options if you don't want to permanently mount it.
Yeah, I have that one too, and it does fit nice and snug on the iArcade. So
here we go.
Excellent.
Paul doesn't like eggs enough to care about yolks.
No yoke, right? Okay. So
can we talk about so if we could talk about one of my favorite arcade cabinets of all time is the Tron cabinet. And you have a glowing, like a lit Tron arcade stick.
And the little button. And the
So
little.
I did it again. You do it, Mike. I'm done.
There you go.
Yep, let me control it. This thing is awesome and priced well. You've got a whole video on this that I was watching. It lights up. Here's a question I had because I didn't see it, and maybe it's there and I'm just blind. Does it have the Tron? Like you had a Tron bubble sticker on the back of it. Now, obviously,
Yes.
that's a copyright thing. It comes with that.
It does come with that. Joe Sabos Arcades actually makes an acrylic one. So the one we have is
Okay.
I like it better because it's like one of those decals. It's clear, but it's got like a soft touch to it. But Joe makes an acrylic one, and this one is the for the disc of Tron. So this one doesn't actually have the Tron logo on it. It's just got the fire on the trigger, and there's a lot of controversy around that controller. But we also make this here, which is for Tron as well. It is a Hall effect spinner, but it's also push and pull, so you can play it with Tron or discs of Tron. And it's also got one of the most advanced polling rates, the lowest and the highest polling rates in the world. So we have the spinner that will do more polling or less polling than anyone else in the market, as well as being push and pull on this one.
Nice. I'd love to have a Satan's Hollow one.
A lot of people have, asked for, different colors. And it still amazes me that in 2026 now, injection molding is like outrageously expensive. Of course, we could do them in different colors in the molding process. People have asked for red and black as well, and we may offer that at some point. But some people just actually use plastic acrylic paint, which works really well. It's like a stain, and it stains it into that color. That works really well for people that want to do that. I know that Retro Ralph had a Satan's Hollow to use my joystick in. And actually, it's funny. I've actually seen some arcade machines in the wild, and it's my Tron stick on it. Like, dang, they bought my stick.
That's wow.
Well, it's a good replacement stick too.
Yes, and it holds
It
up. That
looks
proves it holds
bang
up in the
on, yeah.
arcades. It lasts.
Well, it's quality stuff. I mean, when I got my control deck, I got something else I'm going to show here in a minute. But when I got my control deck, and I installed it, and I had played it. I started playing games that I was playing with the original deck. The buttons and the controls that you had on the Ultimate, much better than the original on the iArcade, in my opinion.
And I will say that the original on the iArcade was manufactured by our parent company, but to a price point. Ours are gold, Million Press gold covered buttons, so they're a little bit better. But iArcade's joysticks and iArcade's buttons and everything that was inside the machine was through our parent company, which is a subsidiary of Thunderstick Studios. I guess the other way though, up.
So did you the products that you have, which we're not going to have time to go over all of them, but obviously you had to have a thought about them, and so did you present this to your parent company and say, this is what I would like to see, this is the quality I would like to have, that kind of thing?
We've had, like I said, my team is very good. They're great engineers, they're great designers. So phenomenal there. And the great, again, my parent company that we work for works for, or I should say, sells product to Sega and Nintendo and X Arcade and all those other companies. So we manufacture real arcade parts. So that's the good part, because we have the engineers who know how to make something robust and that's going to last. And we just have to get that $6,000 machine part, down to a consumer level. And when I tell people, we literally are making pennies on some of these machine parts. We don't make a lot, and that's not my goal. My goal is to make sure that we already know, because we played in the arcades, and we were pretty much, I think, close to the same age. But we played in the arcades. You know when you're playing Centipede, what a track will feel like, or Missile Command. You know what Pong is going to be like, or Breakout is going to feel like. When you're playing Battlezone or you're playing Tron, you guys kind of know what to kind of expect when playing the game. I felt bad for kids who grew up with the home consoles, and they're like Atari Warriors. my Atari Warriors Super Joystick. Only one in the world, and SNK loved it, and they backed it. But they're playing the NES version, and they think it's how the game's played. And there's so much gameplay missing when you can't run one way, turn, and go in the other direction. So that was a huge undertaking for us. That's kind of why I feel bad for my team, because I do this to them. I want what I want, which is what any one of us would want. I want a good control deck. It's going to last. That's not going to be expensive, but it's got to do what it wants. When they first gave me the first prototype of that, I'm not going to lie. I said, guys, this sucks. It's horrible. It was terrible. And they're like, what do you mean? It works. I said, no, it doesn't. I mean, half the time it didn't spin. They say, yeah, we know. Well, if you know, then that's not right. So that's where I fight my battles, because until I'm happy with it, it doesn't get released. And some of these are very niche controllers. I mean, I made the Atari stick. Like in the arcade, it was only a 12-way. It was a 12-way controller with clicking, and pushing push down was on some games, not all. But I made sure we had push down, so you basically have a Tron stick in there. But I said I also want an 8-way, a 16-way, and a free spin. So if you only have the money to buy one thing, you buy the Atari stick, and you have a spinner you can play Tempest with, because that thing will spin like an Atari, like a Tempest controller. You want to play in Atari games, you have that control in there. So I try to give as much value in the product, other than I'm going to sell you this one today for this price, and you want this? I'm going to say, hold the product. So I kind of cannibalize my spinners maybe, or cannibalize my joysticks maybe, but I'd rather that person who only has the money to buy the one to be able to play what he wants to play and have options for him and his family to play. My thing is, again, growing up in the way with my son, just me and him, I want to spend time with him. I want him to spend time with me and having fun. And I know we're all dudes here, but I've seen a lot of mothers, single moms, reach out to me, same thing, that they play games together and they appreciate, bringing the machine back to life, or fixing a controller, or the Build-A-Cades. I had a few moms, I was shocked. They bought this for them and their daughters to build these little metal Build-A-Cades and had fun with that. So
we actually have some ladies in the chat. As a matter of fact, this isn't an all male industry. And
well,
I
that's
could get
funny
into
though,
why it was.
Because when I was growing up, in caveman times, none of the girls I knew played games. It was just the guys. But it's very different today.
Yeah. I just Reader's Digest. What happened was, when like the 2600 and all that came out back in the day, you just bought games from either a toy store or electronic store, whatnot. Well, then Toys R Us came out about the same time NES got released, and they had to make a decision where to put it, because they only had boys section and girls section. So when they put it in the boys section, that's when the industry started leaning towards the male side of it. But it's just
I remember in the arcades, you'd have a lot of boys in there, but you'd have a lot of girls in there playing too. It wasn't really until the arcade.
It was good viewing.
Yeah, it wasn't until it kind of came to the home consoles, like Phil mentions, like when they put it in the boys section, that it was like, oh, that's a boys thing.
Well, the big thing, Centipede and Miss Pac-Man. Girls definitely played arcade games, but when Centipede and Miss Pac-Man came out, that's when it, I think, really got girls more involved, thinking it's something that they could play and they enjoyed. Before that, it was mostly football games, or Berserk, or just shooting games, and girls just didn't really care about that stuff. But then games started coming out, and pinball. Girls definitely like pinball for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, when we would go to the arcade, usually the only girls that were there were my friends and I, our girlfriends watching us. Okay, I'm just kidding. We didn't have girlfriends.
If you were in the arcade, they probably looked and then turned it a 180 and walked out.
I was about to call BS on that. Yeah.
There was this one girl, I'll never forget. I knew her in high school, and she was like an 11. She was beautiful, but she knew it. She's one of the girls who never knew it. But she would play Galaga from opening of that arcade to closing. She was a Galaga nut, and she was like the first girl I ever knew that played games. But yeah, it's very different today. I think this at a household, if you had just daughters in the house, they're playing the Nintendos or Xboxes, and they could probably take the guys out. It's a known. I'm not being sexist, but women generally have finer hand controls than guys do. So games that require very fine movement, they generally will do better. than guys will do. And there were women hustling guys in like Pong and Breakout and Centipede because guys think they're gonna take it and the girl, I'll pay you for $10, and bam, she would beat the guy cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my wife and I, we dated for 3.5, 4 years, I think. And we went to played Pac-Man and Centipede and did all that. She loved it. She loved it. Now that the other games she wasn't really into, but those games, and she'd wipe the floor with me half the time. So
there's one, my neighbor across the street who was very good to me and my son for a lot of years. Her game was Kaboom. And she would smoke me in Kaboom. I'm like, I'll beat you in Breakout. And Breakout would be 50-50. But Kaboom, she would wipe the floor with me any day of the week.
And that's funny how that goes. I want to go back to the Atari rotary joystick. Mike, if you could bring up my screen there, can you do that, or do I have to? Okay.
No, I can do it.
This is when you open the box. These are the parts you have to assemble this.
But it's
now this
fun.
is a very when I ordered it, I knew, but I was a little skeptical. The actual box is the control case, but the thing of it is, this isn't like Amazon cardboard. This is like super duper thick. The holes that are in the front here are perforated, so when you do, I haven't done it, but when you don't have to worry about cutting them out because they come out from what I heard really nicely. There are four top spinners there. That
correct. You have a 8-way, 16-way, 12-way, and free spin. So we include all four.
Yeah. So you can actually use it as a spinner if you'd like. There's a button on the white button that you see there. What it does, tell us why don't you explain your product? I shouldn't be explaining your product. You should be.
No worries.
Let me hear from you.
So the beautiful, you can even play honestly Disc of Tron with one joystick. You could spin your guy and press down and pull up with the joystick. Use one hand if you wanted to. But the whole point of this was that I always say to myself, why do you got to throw away the boxes? Right? They put all this nice artwork on these boxes and you throw them away. So I told my team, said, why can't we make the box? Because again, unless you're putting this in a machine or you have something, you're going to throw away the box. So I figured, why not make the box sturdy, like you said, and you could put the control deck right in there. And the button on there is to change what mode and what spinning way it is. So one button press will be, it's in an 8-way mode for turning clicks. One press will be 12, 16, and free spin. But the other one is you're going to be using it as a joystick, emulating a joystick, emulate a hat, or SNK. We partnered with SNK. And if you download, a lot of times it's free on Amazon or Steam, the 40th anniversary SNK collection. And you put it in the purple mode, you connect and go. It's all set, plug and play. You put it in and it just works.
That's
nothing special.
And it is nice and it plays well. I actually contacted you because I wasn't sure how to, with MAME, I had to configure in order to get it to play. But once you told me how, it was like,
honestly, I love the Atari Warriors, but I was a huge Frontline fan. And the only way you could play Frontline at home was on a ColecoVision with a Super Action controller with this big joystick. So that was my ultimate real push for this one. I did it because I really wanted to play arcade Frontline. And right now we're doing a big sale on this one. It's normally $79. I think we're doing, I'm not sure if it was 20 or 40%. So if you use Atari 40, you get 40% off of $79 on that thing right now.
There you go.
Fully licensed SNK product through GRS T-Sticks.
You'd be silly not to get this. Now, I will say this.
And what is this used for? We've got a question in Andy's asked, what does this work on?
Well, there's a bunch of special rotary joystick games like Atari Warriors, let's say Frontline's another one, Zybots. I love Zybots. That was a great game too. But you can also use it in other games like, oh God, I have so many games at the top of my head, I forget half of them. Forgotten Worlds. Forgotten Worlds is a game where you have a joystick and you have to have a spinner. You could do it all with one controller. But it's also good for fighting games. You want to play Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter? It's a great joystick in its own right that also has spinning capabilities. And like I said, if you want to play Discs of Tron, normally you have to have a joystick, a button, then you have a spinner and push and pull up and push down. You can do all that with the joystick. You can turn the joystick and you can press down on the joystick and you can rotate the joystick. So with one hand, you could control Discs of Tron if you wanted to. But you're not limited to that. You can use it for all different kinds of games. You want to play Tempest? You want to play Arkanoid? You do it with this joystick. It's just really what you have space for. And the if you wanted like a real case, like if you want, like Glenn, cardboard is cool, but I want a real wood case. There is 99 Lives Arcade that will make a 3/4 inch or whatever wood he uses. It's a beautiful recreation of the Akari control deck. And you can drop 2 of those in there. I did a video if you have the X Arcade tank stick. We have parts, a little plate you can put in there. It'll make it mount in the original X Arcade's tank stick, which is, like I said, it's a tank stick. It's a beast.
And he's saying what platforms? And I'm assuming
anything. Gotcha. Okay, so pretty much anything that will accept a USB joystick or a USB mouse or a keyboard will work because the joystick supports all those functions. So if you have a console that'll accept a USB joystick, it'll work. If that console can accept a mouse for games, it'll work. Outside of that, if there's something specific, you can send us an email at glensretroshow@gmail.com. And we have our own firmware. You know, we can always update firmware. We actually have a software program for Windows only at this time. But you can hard code any one of those controllers. You want like the second button to be auto fire, but not the third button, but the fifth button to be auto fire. You could do that. If you need to have the joystick not where it should be, you have to rotate it because it'll only fit in your machine if you rotate it. In the application, you go and say rotate the joystick 90 degrees, save it. It's in the firmware, and it remembers. So the joystick is now rotated even though it's got the right controllers. We try to think of everything, and if we don't, we listen to the community and we try as fast as we can to make additions to it or improvements. When we never tell anyone they're wrong.
This is going to be hard to see. I have, Mike, if you could bring me up for just a second. Yep. This is going to be hard to see because I have a green screen. But this is the spinner. I have the 12-way on here right now. But there's if you can see, right there's a little hole at the bottom there, and he provides little Allen wrench. You change.
Set screw.
It's a set screw. You change it with the Allen wrench, and you can tell us what the different, there's like four different.
Right. I think there's only 2 that will ever really be used in the arcade games, like Akari Warriors, Frontline, those type of games. That was the 12-way rotation, which I think comes pre-installed on the top there. That's probably going to be used 99% of the time because you're buying that usually for those type of games. But on the top of that joystick, that little clip pops off. There's a screw. Take that one screw out, and people use a free spinner. You put that on, you can play Arkanoid, you can play Tempest, you can play Breakout, any type of spinning games, and it's free. You can spin it and it'll keep going. I added the 8 and the 16 in case anyone made future games that may require more precise control or more angled movements. You know, like in television, you have 16 versus 8 directions you could turn. So I just threw that in there as a future enhancement. And again, these are all firmware upgradable. So if new stuff comes down the pipeline, or if there's a new console that came out, or a new program, we could update the firmware. I just plug it into your computer, hit a button, takes like 1 second, reboots, and it's all set to go.
And with your sale, it's less than $50.
That reminds me of the old Atari commercial for the Atari Junior. Under $50, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
2600.
Hey,
Atari.
Old Co did a great version of that commercial. It's one of my favorite things on the internet.
You should cue that up to show him after the show.
The fun is back. That's not what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The fun is back. Oh, yes, sirree.
Sirree. It's a 2600 from Atari.
Now, I think I can answer this one for Geek Historian, but obviously, Glenn, you can pop in. Depending on how the game is programmed, like obviously the joystick will work for NES emulation on your PC, but if there's nothing to receive that spinner control, I sincerely doubt it.
I would love to see someone do, because so many people play the NES version, I would love to see someone do a hacked ROM where it did accept, my joystick. If they did, I would make an adapter for the NES to make that connection with a real NES. So people could play the NES with my stick, because I think that'd be wild. But if you have MAME, obviously you could play the arcade game and just go that way. Or the 40th anniversary from SNK, which, again, more times than not, it's completely free. If you go on Amazon Prime Games or Steam, it's either a couple pennies, $1, or free. And you just get it, and it's yours.
And Bear Fan Goomba, I don't know. Casey, the Intellivision gamer, he's going to have to buy one and hook it up to his Sprint and see if it works.
I could.
Yeah, I had to get one right away as soon as they came out because my brother and I played the NES version so much, even though a lot of people don't like that one. For us, it was a 2-player game. We played it, and when I saw you had that available, I had to get one. I need to get a second one in case my brother ever decides to visit, then we can play together.
Another great game is TNK. And that was by SNK. TNK is two tanks, going around. You can move your tank one direction, turn. That's another great game with rotary stick. But Zybots is like 3D Berserk. And I love Berserk, and it's basically a 3D version of Berserk, and it works fantastic with that as well. Again,
and what was the other one? Guerrilla War? Was that the other one?
Guerrilla War, yes, correct. Yep, that's another one. Obviously, Akari Wars 1, 2, and 3 all work with it as well. Steps Gaming loved, I guess, Guerrilla War. That was one of her favorite game in there. Oh, what's the other game? Oh my God, I can't think of it. It was a side scroller. Oh God! Again, this happens when you turn 27. You kind of lose your memory a little bit. Rolling Thunder was
Yeah.
Again, when you play it with just a joystick, you kind of go shoot the direction you're going. But in Rolling Thunder, sometimes there's guys behind you, so you can crawl this way and you can turn and shoot, the other direction. It just adds a lot to the gameplay, and it could be more difficult or it could be more easy because you can actually hit what you're trying to aim for, Just have to get used to it.
Wow. Now I'm looking, you have a lot of parts. We don't want to go through all the parts that you have, but the big
products we have, we obviously have our Build-A-Cade, which is our 1/6 scale arcade machine. And even on that, you can see right there, we have different control decks for it. We have the Sinden Target Pro, Sinden Technologies. They reached out to Sinden reached out to us because they knew about stuff that we did, and they heard about the quality that we did, and we made the Sinden Target Pro, and it's a phenomenal light gun. It's camera based, and anyone here has it, it's built again like a tank. The thing, other than actually shooting bullets, you can hit someone with it and kill them. It's really solid. So we have that. And obviously we have our trackballs, we have our spinners, the Star Wars flight yoke, the Tron joystick, and obviously this year we have the GRS Build-A-Cade FU, which is basically taking my 1/6 scale and scaling that to an actual full-size arcade machine. And my original idea for that, and this is, like I said, you got to pick your battles, right? So my idea was to take the 1/6 scale Build-A-Cade, almost like a switch. You open up the coin door, and you would dock your 1/6 scale Build-A-Cade in your FU, and that would bring your FU to life. Then you go to your friend's house, you would take your Build-A-Cade out and, take it to your friend's house, kind of like a, switch type of thing. But my team's like, no, they fought me. So maybe FU2, when that comes out, we'll do something along those lines. But
he's been thinking about this way too long.
I do. But the cool thing about the 1/6 scale Build-A-Cade, it's actually STEM certified for educational purposes. So for schools, they can buy the Build-A-Cade kits. We're going to start including the Viper, the regular Viper in the kit. This way, school can buy it for one price. We can include everything in the kit, and they can build these in schools. And then obviously, the Viper Venom is really for the FU, but we're trying to get the size as close to the regular Viper and a Pi. So you could put it, if you wanted to go, putting a V8 Mustang engine in a Smart for 2 car, or Yugo, you could do that.
Yeah, I really want one just to make a miniature Popeye arcade cabinet one day.
I built one of those. Joe Sabos makes great artwork. That acrylic artwork is phenomenal. Great partnership with him because he's like me. He's very detail oriented, but the artwork he does is phenomenal. There's also, Arcade Graphics and Escape Pop. They do great work, but they're mostly vinyl, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with the vinyl because I have plenty of those. But the Donkey Kong Jr., Popeye, Mario Brothers, the Versus series, all those machines, the Build-A-Cade looks like a mirror image of those machines with his artwork on it.
Nice.
I had a question. So, and this is something that we had touched on in the green room, and I think it's actually a really important part of any business. Obviously, you sell tons of different parts. You guys create parts. You guys bulk buy and resell parts and all that stuff. And undoubtedly, we're working with any electronics. There is bound to be issues, even on the most quality product, sometimes.
100%.
And I know, and part of my inspiration for specifically asking this question is that Bart has been awfully quiet, and I want him to tell us about not necessarily the issue I had, but the ease and swiftness of the tech support that he got from you guys.
Yeah. I got my arcades right here, and like I said, I got the deck first, and I actually Poe got the Viper board and all that first, and I missed the first run, and I was like suddenly kicking myself because Poe got his, and I'm like, so I ordered one on the second run, kind of like Phil was waiting, hoping that you would do a second run, and it worked out perfect. And when I got the thing, the Viper side worked perfect, but my iArcade side, the buttons weren't working properly. Couldn't figure it out. And I contacted tech support, and I'm not sure of the person. I wish I had all this stuff pulled up. I could say who it was. They got back to me.
It was me. I was back there.
Yeah, it was Glenn. Got back to me right away within a day, and asked me. He thought it was a cable issue, so he had me take pictures of all the cables, connections, and all this. And in one of the pictures of one of the cable connections, you could see the dip switches, and one of the dip switches was switched the wrong direction. And he goes, can you take he didn't tell me to take a closer picture. He said, I think that one's off. They should both be in whichever position. Right. Flip that dip switch, and it worked perfect. And but it was all, I probably had 3 or 4 messages with the guy, and it was at most 3 days from start to finish working with the guy. He was just getting back with me right away. As soon as I'd send stuff, he'd get back to me later that day or the first thing the next day. And, so the tech support side of it was just great. And I wish I would have sent the tech support email the first day I had it, instead of scratching my head for like a week saying, I must have done something. I'm taking it out, putting it back in. What's wrong? Everything looks right. I swear I did it right.
Before he started scratching his head too. I just want to let you all know.
But it worked out great for me, and what a difference it made getting that thing in there. And it is so nice. Again, Poe and I jumped in there when you were talking about the gate switch. That is the best thing ever. Man. Going in and playing something with an 8-way, and then it's like, I want to play Donkey Kong. I can get up the ladder.
We even both pointed out in our videos anytime we're playing on that thing. Okay, I'm going to go to 4-way right now. Button push. Don't you wish you could do that too?
Yeah, and it's such a good system, and so thank you, Glenn, for
that was actually developed by one of my partners. He had designed it. He was selling it himself on Etsy, and he reached out to us, and we manufacture. I can't take credit for that gate switch. It was actually done by someone else, but it is designed to work on any SandWalk compatible. So it doesn't just work on my joystick. If a joystick is a SandWalk or SandWalk compatible, my gate switch will clip on the bottom. And depending on what you're using, like definitely have a Viper. I think Battlestar may support it now, but you don't even know what game you have, and it automatically will switch the gate. You could press a button and override it, but if your OS is aware, it'll automatically just switch the gate when you pick the game. You don't have to do anything.
Nice.
You're in the mode.
Yeah, because other joysticks, like, you can change the gate, but it's a manual process. You got to take the thing off and put the...
It's a pain. Awesome. They don't want to come off. It's just your fingers gets caught in a screwdriver getting it off. It's a big pain.
I tried 3D printing some gates that you could put over the joystick on the top, and they'd work great for like 10 minutes. And then they'd pop off in the middle of the game or whatever. But now it's just
my big thing is you shouldn't have to think about it. Right? When you're playing, the best controller you have is the one you don't know is there. You're focusing on the gameplay and that you're in the zone. If you got to think about the controller, that's taking you out of it. So that's what I'm saying, the right controller for the right job. And when you're playing Donkey Kong or Pac-Man, you got to be able to get in those white spots. Otherwise, you're going to miss your spot and you're dead. Especially in Donkey Kong. I mean, Donkey Kong is brutal. It doesn't look like it is, but it's a brutal game. So you want to have a 4-way joystick, but then if you had a permanent 4-way joystick, either you're going to have a control deck with regular joysticks for 8-way and a joystick for 4-way, or you do like the 3D printed one. Some people have done that, and some people find that fine. But I would rather have, like with the upcoming FU, when you pick Donkey Kong, it goes to 4-way on the joysticks, the screen goes zip, all by itself, and you just go play.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Right. And you play the Robotron, goes to it's 8-way, and the screen goes right back. You don't think about nothing. It just does it, and you enjoy the game.
I wanted that thing so badly, but it wasn't the right timing, and the wife would have killed me if that came in the house.
All you got to tell is it's the same thing. This whole thing, I've had it for years. Like those shoes you got. I had this thing for years. Just never noticed.
Usually she doesn't notice, but when I got that arcade, I built it out here in my garage and then smuggled it into the house. And when she went down to the laundry room, she said, "What is that?" And I said, "That was a project. Me and the boy built this together. It was something we could do together." She's like, "Okay, all right."
I used to always say my biggest fear in life is that when I die, my wife will sell my collection for what I told her I paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be thankful. I tell everyone of my shows, and everyone knows that when I do pass on, you better get to my house quick, because my son will throw it on the lawn. If it's not Minecraft or Fortnite, he don't care. It's gonna be he'll throw it on the front lawn for the rain. So
Now, where do you live again?
And your address is. So Gamer Fridge here. He loves your deck.
Yeah.
it's a good guy.
There's a euphemism there, but
If you talk about if we're putting it in the arcade one up, it's very easy. We again on the Flight Yoke, we have a USB connector for PC. There's a dedicated connector for the arcade, and there's dedicated connectors for the arcade one up. So it's basically just take out 4 screws, pull out the joystick, put it in mine, and just connect in the same points, and it's recognized. That's really it. Nothing more than that.
that's awesome. We got some other way control. I'm going to save these two for after, but would you make, or is there, or will you be making a controller inspired by Wizard of War or a Mega Race? They say.
I will say that I'm always looking at new controllers, but in the current pipeline, we're working on a 720 controller, which is even more niche. But I feel like if you're going to play 720, you really need to have that controller. So that'll be coming out. Should be this year. Also, Paperboy.
Nice.
People like Paperboy. So we could do that. And again, it'll probably be a derivative of the Star Wars yoke, but with handlebars, throttle, brakes and buttons on it, stuff along those lines. Battlezone, I know it's not really much to a controller, but I like tank games. I love Battlezone. I would like to have a couple of those sticks in a deck, with a proper feel, something along those lines. So those are just the current ones I can discuss, as well as obviously the enhancer kit for the Star Wars. But some people like dance pants. So I don't know. Some people like those type of games too. So we'll see.
Yeah. John, this is a follow-up on the yoke thing. Does he have to attach it to wood or something? You said, I'm not even sure.
If he's putting it in the arcade one up, it's a 1-to-1 replacement. So if you're doing it in anything else, you may have to do some drilling, or you purchase our mount where you can screw it to your desk, or the buy stuff store mounts if you want to do something along those lines.
Cool. Let's go back.
But I will say real quick, the arcade one up is plastic, so it's light, and obviously you guys have felt mine. So it's definitely not. It's much heavier. It's industrial, but the arcade one up, believe it or not, can hold it. It won't fall apart on you.
Okay, that's good. We have a comment here from Sonic says, Glenn, please create a virtual pinball box like the Akari box within the same price point. That would be what, 2-button? These guys are pinball. Well, particularly Bart is a pinball guy. That'd be like a little digital plunger and some buttons. What would be in that?
Yeah.
What I will say is I want to say it's almost 2 years now. I can't. It's a year or 2 years. I posted a video for doing a 1/6 scale virtual pinball, and I was looking for 10,000 views. And I was going to get working on it, but I think I only got like 6,000 views out of it. So I still personally want to do like a 1/6 build-a-cade, a 1/6 scale build-a-cade, and a 1/6 scale pinball. But with that being said, FU has pinball in its future, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, because FU is you could switch out all those decks. That thing is amazing. So yeah, having a pinball deck like that, oh man, I might have to take the divorce on that one and just get the few.
You know what? We're going to take the L for the FU.
Well, I will say this. I will say this to you guys. Come you guys at the iArcade. The FU probably never would have happened if iArcade was around. I would have basically been a supplier for that, and we would have built in that ecosystem. So the FU is really the iArcade 2.0. That's kind of what it kind of came out of. I was really impressed with what John did, and we're also looking at on the Viper Venom and the Viper at some point is we want to really support indie developers. Really want to support indie developers. So we're going to have to make a way, and we're in talks with a lot of people to obviously let people still load games that they want. I know this is kind of a murky thing, especially with indie developers or licensed software on there. But we're trying to find a way where you can still load your own games like you're doing now, like Pi or the Viper, but also have a closed encrypted spot where you could purchase Donut Dodo, which I love that game, Donut Dodo,
Yeah.
or those type of games, and have the indie developer like him being able to get paid for their work. I mean, I definitely think people should be paid for their work. Now, a lot of people say, well, Glenn, you support piracy. I don't support piracy. I will say Atari 2600 games or games from the 70s and 80s and 90s, these companies have made gajillions of dollars on myself alone, let alone everyone else. And you can't buy those games. There's a lot of games I play that don't even exist in any form because the arcade was not that big, but I love those games. And preservation, to me, is just as important for electronic games as it would be for a Picasso or a Whopper or a Big Mac, because they last forever because they don't go bad ever, or Taco Bell. But I really do believe these things have. Donut Dodo is friggin' awesome, or Wizard of War, or what's the one in the arcade? It's not Wizard of War. It's that 3D maze game. It's like Wizard of War. Dang it.
Bart, you played that one, right?
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't ask because now I'm 28, so I really can't remember.
I bought it.
It's a great game. So those developers like that should be able to be compensated. I don't want those people downloading it and sharing them on themselves. Thank you, Wizard of Walls, fantastic game. So any developer should be compensated for that. I want to be able to, like I said, I want the GRS. I'm going to call it the GRS ecosystem because we have the 1/6 scale, we're going to have the full size, and we are going to have stuff in between. A lot of things in between. So I want our ecosystem to be friendly to your pocketbooks, to you, but also support indie developers. I really want that stuff to grow because I find that, honestly, I do not play any modern games. I think when you buy something and it takes 15 hours to download patches and then it's still glitching out, I don't want any part of that. I want to be able to own, right. When I get something, I want to own it, So that's what I want to support, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely are doing that with your products. I'll tell you what, you've helped keep the retro gaming community alive as far as, people like me. I think that when COVID hit, a lot of people started getting back into retro gaming. And this was just another way, the iArcade, but not even the Build-A-Cade, or if you have arcade one-ups, all the replacement parts and things that you can use to upgrade it. Man, so many things.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's what it really there was a dark time. There was definitely a dark time between me and Arcade One Up, but it's a shame because I did so much trying to help them and kind of got screwed up with them. But it's not about me or them. It was about people buying these arcade one-ups and having them be playable and usable, especially if they broke. And that's why people like they have Raspberry Pi kits to keep them going, or it's just sad how some companies are. Like I've worked with Arcade One Up, I've worked with At Games, I've worked with iArcade, I've worked with Polycade, I work with X Arcade, and of all of them, the only ones that were brutally not nice people was Arcade One Up, which is kind of funny. The other companies, At Games, I know people may have their own opinions, but I could say from the back end, they cared. They seemed to care anyway, and they tried to put out quality products, and I think they did. They got a little expensive, I think that maybe that went to the head a little bit, but I still think that they had their heart was in the right place. iArcades definitely was. Polycades is and definitely X Arcade. I mean, they've been around a long time making really quality products, and almost all the controllers and the X Arcade comes from us. So that's the thing I want people to realize out there. When you have these other machines, and that Glenn, he's just he's just in it for the money. I don't make nothing. I still got holes in my walls. I'm a flood from 2020. I can't afford to fix it. I don't make money on this stuff. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of taking time away from my son for a lot of years. But I think at that time he wanted to play with his friends at Fortnite, so it was okay. But I really just want to leave a mark, and so people can say that Glenn guy wasn't such a bad guy. He did some things. He tried to make things better, and that's what I want to show my son. He probably doesn't watch. He's watching this podcast, but if he ever sees it one day, it's just important to me that my son sees how his father was and how I want him to be, which is, hey, you don't know what people are going through in life. You may see someone and they're being not nice, but maybe his father just passed away or his daughter is missing and he's trying to find her, and people are stressed out. People just need to be a little more compassionate. I'm not saying if someone's a jerk every day, the guy, and you know the guy's an ass. But there are people just don't realize it in day-to-day life, that life is not easy. Life is not easy. And video games or movies, and these are the little outlets that we have, like I assume we're all dads. I don't know if we're all dads. I'm assuming we're all dads. But we have to take care of our wives and our kids and pets and make sure the house and the lights stay on and food's on the table, and we go to work every day during COVID, all these things. There's a lot of stress. And if I can give you guys a little fun time and you come home playing on games, and the wife doesn't yell at you because she spent $30 on shoes and you spent $40 on an atari stick, that's okay. That's what it's really about. Just be compassionate to people. Because I think in our communities, sometimes things get heated with people, and people, they become keyboard warriors and people go back and forth. It shouldn't be that way. We're in a community here. We should be friendly. And that's what I'm kind of hoping will happen long term. I think that gaming is getting now a little more mature, and people are just be friendly to one another. I guess that's it. But you can still murder them on the other side of the game.
I've always said, and I've said it multiple times on this podcast, you can disagree with somebody and still be friends. Like 100%. 100%. 100%. I tell her, listen, at least I'm in America. I don't know if everyone here is, people not, but in America, everyone, hello, my friend from north, everyone has a right to their opinion. It doesn't mean it has to be my opinion. But I should be adult enough that you say your piece, I say my piece, and either you agree or you don't. But that's called being an adult. You don't throw a tantrum because someone's not agreeing with how you want it to be. Yep. But I agree with you 100%. That's how it should be. We're adults.
So I forgot to tell you prior to the show. Now we don't have a set time that we have to do, but we try to keep it around an hour, and that's about where we're at right now. But there's a couple things I want to talk about.
Sure, go ahead.
There's also more questions from the chat, Phil.
Okay, and we want to do that too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, you're well known for what you sell and your products, but you have a following on your show. Tell us about your show a little bit.
Well, like I said, I think I've been on 14 years. I can't remember now. I started my YouTube channel. Again, I've talked about it a million times, but it's part of what I started. My wife had passed away in 2009 very suddenly, and my son was 4. And, I was depressed for a long time. It was a horrible time for my life. And I tried not to show that to my son. My son, he was a little kid, and we had fun together, but I was in a bad shape. So one day I posted a video. I think it was an Amiga video, the first one I did. And I just started doing that as open apple. And my son and me would do little skits. And that was kind of fun. And we do little skits in the video, and that's why my intros were like 5 hours long. And I think my first 100,000 subs said, "Glenn, we're not watching your show. Your intros are way too long." But it was fun for me. It was a way to express a little thing. My son, we did some stuff, and it was cool. But mostly on my channel, I do a lot of retro stuff. I do not do modern stuff. I know a lot of people today are doing about Nintendo and PlayStation 64 and Xbox 19, whatever is out there. I have no idea. I am, honestly, I would say PS1 Dreamcast era back. And it's restoring them, modding them, make them do things they didn't do. But I'm very keen on, I have to have at least two, because one has to stay original. It has to be the way it was created. Then I could take one that's maybe not in good a shape, and that's the one is the Tinker Machine. I do other things. But I try and do that, and I have guest hosts. My biggest host, I was so humbled when I had Nolan Bushnell. The video came on the show. I was like a girl watching, I don't know, the Partridge Family. I don't know, the monkeys, whoever they're like. Yeah. And it's typical. I always have audio problems on my show, and of course, there was a whole audio problem on there. I have a cell phone, a microphone over a cell phone to have Nolan talk through it. But I had him on. I had so many incredible guests on my show that, again, I am a nobody. I am a dad from New York, and I've talked to arcade people. I've talked to the person who created the entire industry, Nolan Bushnell. And so many people created Q-Bert and all these other machines out there. Pac-Man Fever, I had them on. Yes, I had the album.
Todd Fry on, did you?
What's that?
You didn't have Todd Fry on, did you?
Actually, I invited him on. He was supposed to come on. And a few other people from Atari were supposed to come on, and they kind of never did. But that happens. But the point is, I never thought I would have been someone who talked to those people. I don't have a show where I was actually engaging, having questions, and they still talk to me now. Nolan went to Japan. He's like, "Hey, Glenn, I'm in Japan." He sent me a photograph of him in Japan. I mean, that's what it is. And my channel is really just like we're doing right here. It's just guys, if we were going to a bar, going out to dinner, just chilling, talking. And that's what it really should be about. Life is short. We don't realize how short life is, especially when we're young. Enjoy every moment, get together with friends, have a conversation, and do that. Pac-Man Fever is great.
There's a kind of a running joke on my channel.
Yes.
I loathe the original 2600 Pac-Man, and so.
Oh yeah, it's bad. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, and I can't remember. I think it came out in 82 or
82.
82. I had to pay $40 for it back then, and I think counting for inflation, it's around $160. And I joke on the channel all the time that Todd Fry and Atari owe me around $160.
Todd Fry is mostly innocent. He's mostly innocent.
Yeah.
Atari pretty much released the beta. It wasn't even the final version, and they refused. He could have made a better version if he had a little more time and gave him 8K. However, if you do have a flash cartridge, there's Pac-Man 8K and Pac-Man, which is amazing, right? Amazing.
It is.
Atari could have been. Now, if they released Pac-Man 8K back then, they would have, again, consoles would have flew off the shelves like Space Invaders when it came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
But
They were
unfortunately,
rushed to get it out by
and it was
Christmas.
bad.
Yep.
I mean, Pac-Man still was the best-selling game for the Atari 2600. It blew Space Invaders out of the water, so they didn't care. They were laughing to the bank. But
Well, they still buried a ton of cartridges, but they did learn, and they had general
they created
consumer.
more cartridges than there were consoles out.
Because we were hoping, like Space Invaders, it would sell more. Same with ET. They were another thing, but ET was not the worst game ever created. Just so you guys know, I know that's the lore. ET is not the worst game. I think it's
have
that
always
bus game
said-
to Vegas.
Anybody that tells you that ET is the worst game of all time needs to play more video games. It wasn't even the worst game on the 2600.
No.
Anyhow.
No.
Yeah, that's just the echo chamber out there. Everybody just likes to say that,
And the echo chamber drives me nuts. And it's funny because everybody's moving from ET to Pac-Man. And I stand by, it's like, again, if you think Pac-Man 2600 is the worst game of all time, you need to play a heck of a lot more video games because it certainly isn't.
right?
But the good thing is when Atari had gotten General Consumer Electronics to make the 7800, they were pretty much making all the cartridges. So they came out with Miss Pac-Man. Did a very good job with Miss Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Cannabis Kid asks, do you sell the Akari Wari stick by itself without the rest of the control deck? I just want 4 of them for an existing 4-player control deck.
Well, the answer is yes. You don't have to. The box that comes in is your enclosure if you want it or not. So it's designed to work in anything you want. But I just said to myself, why throw away a perfect good box? Will you be made a good as RetroBliss said earlier, the box is solid and you can put it in there. But yeah, you can put in anything you want. I put it in Tank Stick. I put it in a couple of our arcade one-ups. I had a deck I had actually made for my arcade. I threw it in there. It was really hard to fit in that one because it's so tight in there. But yeah, you could definitely put in anything you want.
All right. And John Doe says, how about an Afterburner controller? And someone else is asking about the same kind of thing here.
Yep. So I actually had made a Lunar Lander throttle controller. That right now is 3D printable. You can go on to Thingiverse and you can look up GRS Lunar Lander throttle. It uses actually this right here. Use one of my little spinners, and you 3D print the whole thing around. You can play Lunar Lander. Even on if you have the 12-in-1 arcade one-up with Lunar Lander with the USB mod, you can actually plug in. It will work and play Lunar Lander on that arcade one-up 12-in-1. As far as the other ones, I will say, well, like I said, I'm not done making controllers, so maybe.
All right. And we've got both Phil and I have pretty big Intellivision following, and Atari recently came out with the Intellivision Sprint.
Yep. I'm just waiting for it to go on sale, just so you know, when it goes on sale.
Yeah. And I know you're an arcade guy, but Tofu asks, could you make a sideways/landscape controller for the Intellivision Sprint that slots into the Sprint to recharge? And Casey follows it up with, will you do anything for the Sprint?
Well, I don't have one just yet, but I do love the Intellivision. I have like 3 Intellivisions. Actually, I'm a moron because I had the original Intellivision keyboard component with the built-in cassette drive. You drop the whole Intellivision in it. I had one, and I sold it for $200 to buy a motorcycle at the time. So dumb.
Ouch.
Did you have fun on that motorcycle?
I did until I crashed it, but yeah, I did.
Okay.
But I fixed it. But I had a lot of fun in that. But in hindsight, I wish I had kept that original Intellivision. But the answer is potentially. The only Intellivision flashback I have right now is the At Games one, which actually wasn't too bad. The Intellivision flashback from At Games really wasn't horrible. Unlike the ColecoVision one they made, which was absolutely terrible. But I'm just waiting for that Spirit to go on sale. I have this 7800 Plus, and it's pretty nice. I have an original 7800. So maybe. One of the things I do want to do, honestly, I'm maybe in 2027, I really want to recreate the Atari 5200 controller with, robust, because the 5200 gets such a bad rap. It's a phenomenal machine.
Yeah.
Because of that controller. It's a phenomenal machine, and I would like to recreate that controller, one that's going to last and work. And just give me 1 second. Blue, I have no treats for you down here. So if you're more than welcome to come up here, but I have no treats for you. He comes down for the show because he hears me down. He thinks he's getting treats, but he's not getting treats tonight.
So your 5200 controller, are you thinking of making an analog like the original?
It would be exactly like the 5200 controller, except you have the option for self-centering or not, because obviously sometimes you want self-centering and sometimes you will not. But again, Atari had that controller. It was friggin' management that decided, no, just release the other one because it's, it's cheaper. And that's what screwed them. They could have had basically like the radio control plane type of joystick that was self-centering. That's what they could have used. And I think it would change the landscape of the 5200 because, I got the backwards compatibility thing was, if it wasn't for the ColecoVision, nobody even thought about it, I think, at the time. But there was a bad call with that joystick. Mine work. I have original ones. They work, but they were a dumb design. They really were not what they should have released.
Well, with the Atari Max and these multi-carts and stuff, their 8-bit has a vast library, so that would be a huge
absolutely
thing for the 5200, I think.
Yeah, we need that. Before we wrap up, we have some more people asking. It's like, oh, could you make this controller? Could you make that controller? If
Tapper's
you guys really...
Tapper's one that I've heard a lot, and probably.
And when will I ever be able to get one of your LED trackballs for my 1-Up Centipede, Simpsons Bowling, and Golden Tee cabs?
Well, for the 1-Up Centipede and Simpsons, the current LED trackball works. So that's already in there. Golden Tee, we tried a couple of times, but like I said, there was a falling out on Arcade 1-Up side, and they purposely blocked me and protocols. So we weren't able to get it to work properly in the Golden Tee, and couldn't get it worked in the Tempest Legacy unit. And in fact, in the Tempest, two things that they did was they ripped off my Tron. When I say they ripped off my Tron controller, I don't mean the joystick top. They ripped off the base. If you look at my base on the Tron controller, we have a locking mechanism. You can turn to pull out the joystick and put it in a regular bat top or ball top. That's what they stole. And they did the same thing on Tempest Legacy with a Hall effect spinner, and they blocked us. So the chance of me making anything new for 1-Up, well, the guy out of business now, is probably nil. And I don't have any basic fun units, and I know for a fact that they changed again protocols and connectors for the Star Wars to block my yoke from going in there. So I think the Buy Stuff store was working on an interface board. I think they found out how to get around that, make it work. But I'm at the point now where if a company is purposely doing stuff to block making their own products better for their people buying their stuff, I'd rather not work with them. There's too many other companies that I can work with, and I'll work with them very well.
That's fair. So before we wrap up, I like to, when appropriate, I like to put a little poll in my chat. And so today's poll, I said, do you own any items from Thunderstick Studio? Yes was 20%. No was 63%, which means, and I imagine most of those guys, this is their introduction to you. So hopefully, hopefully it's not a negative thing necessarily, is what I mean.
Not at all.
Like, these are people. And
that's the biggest problem for small people like us. Like, I'm like an indie developer. If the word's not out there, people don't know about it. And every channel has its own following, and getting the words out is great. But if you do go online, just do a search on GRS products, and you'll get feedback showing that. Funny thing is, we probably would have an even higher rating, but there's a company called eStats that cloned like our spinner and trackball, and they seize up and they lock, and they think it's mine. I bought your stuff, and they send me the product, and it says eStats in it. It's not our product. It's a clone. Just make sure if you're ordering something, make sure you're ordering it from Thunderstick Studios, or on the Amazon store, it says Thunderstick Studios. Otherwise, it's probably a clone, and it's not going to be the same quality. But hey, my stuff's going to be out there as long as I'm around. And if we do get it, I like hearing from people that if we did like it or not. Off the grid, he got his, and obviously everyone else in this group hopefully has something. But I'm very big on, if you do have my products, I want you to be happy with it. And that's my goal.
So where can people get your...
Phil, the third thing in that poll was maybe soon. And that was 17%. And IR Geek here, he says this was his introduction to you. He voted maybe soon, but now he's locked in.
Well, if he's locked in, why don't you tell him where he can go?
I posted it in my description. I don't know if Phil posted it in his, but it's
I believe I did. I'll update that just in case. But tell us where, and then what else did I want? There was something else. Go ahead, just tell us where, and how they can watch your show. By the way, when is that on? And tell us about your YouTube channel.
I've been doing, like I said, my videos post when they post. I'm not one of those people that I post 1 a week or 2 a week if I week. When I post, I post. But every Friday night at 8 p.m., I do Kicking It Old School, which is basically just like it sounds. I talk about old geezer stuff like Atari and television, Magnavox Odyssey, old TV shows, Battlestar Galactica in 1979, which was, the new one was okay, but 1979, 78 actually was better. Buck Rogers, things along those lines. Stuff we did when we were growing up, or just have a guest on like Noam Bushnell or something along those lines on the channel. That's Friday nights, 8 p.m.
All right. I've enjoyed this episode immensely. I appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
Bart, Poe, I appreciate both you guys being on, sharing your experience and your testimonials on Glen's products. You've added a lot to the show.
Yeah.
And we'd
And
love
you
to have
won't
you
be
back.
sorry. You won't be sorry if you're into arcade stuff. Ordering things from T-Stick Studio. Got a lot of stuff, and was happy and excited when the things came. So.
Yep, and the
Definitely.
customer service is great too. So you don't have to worry about, oh no, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? If it doesn't work, what do I do? You won't be left in the dark. So
Right. That's the worst feeling when you buy something and you get crickets. That's the worst.
yeah, you don't want that, but that's obviously not the case here. So with that, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I want to give you an open invitation to come back, Glenn, if there's something new going on at
100%.
Thunderstick Studio. We'd love to have you on just to talk about that and see what else is going on.
100%. I had a great time, and again, all you guys, you're part of the GRS family now. Reach out at any point in time, man.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Retro Bliss Rewind.